The architecture of resilience, building your life blueprint. Have you ever noticed how we're taught to build everything except ourselves? We learn to build careers, bank accounts, even Instagram followings, but rarely do we learn the architecture of our own resilience. I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing J Lynette David, a visionary whose work in community empowerment and personal transformation has quietly revolutionized how we think about healing and growth. Her insights aren't just inspirational platitudes, they're blueprints for rebuilding lives from the foundation up. J Lynette is one of those rare individuals who doesn't just talk about transformation, she embodies it. Her work has touched thousands of lives across communities that society often overlooks, creating ripples of change that continue to expand long after her initial intervention. What struck me most about our conversation wasn't just the wisdom Jay Lynette shared, but how she embodies the very principles she teaches, authenticity that transforms vulnerability into strength, intentional planning that creates stability, and service that elevates entire communities. Her approach has helped countless individuals navigate life's most devastating storms while building something beautiful from the wreckage. Here's what I found most profound. We all face moments when life hands us circumstances we never asked for. The promotion goes to someone else. The relationship ends. The diagnosis arrives. The loved one is gone. And in those moments, we often feel utterly powerless. But Jay Lynette's first principle challenges that very assumption. No matter what happens to us, we retain the power of choice in our response. This isn't toxic positivity. This is radical responsibility. Consider Markeisha Williams, whose story exemplifies this principle perfectly. As founder of the Pink Parachute Diaries podcast, Markeisha faced barriers that many Black women professionals encounter: limited access to capital, mentorship gaps, and that persistent shadow called imposter syndrome. Early in her career, Markeisha was explicitly told to hide parts of her story, to downplay her vulnerabilities, to present a polished version of herself that felt inauthentic. The message was clear: success required conformity. But something remarkable happened when she made a different choice. Instead of hiding her full story, she embraced it, vulnerabilities and all, and transformed it into her greatest asset. The very things I was told would hold me back became my superpower, she shared on her platform. When I stopped apologizing for my authentic voice, I found people were hungry for exactly that authenticity. Through her podcast, Markeisha created safe spaces that normalize vulnerability alongside ambition. She mentored others through workshops and events. The outcome? Hundreds of women found actionable advice tailored specifically for Black women balancing legacy building with daily realities. New norms emerged around authentic leadership. What began with self doubt shifted dramatically when she realized her lived experience could empower others navigating similar obstacles. Her audience grew exponentially. She directly mentored dozens of emerging leaders. Most importantly, she helped shift industry perceptions about leadership diversity. This is the power of choice in healing, choosing authenticity over conformity, vulnerability over armor, community over isolation. Markeisha's story demonstrates how this choice fuels both personal healing and broader community change. But making powerful choices requires a roadmap. This brings us to Jay Lynette's second principle: building a personalized blueprint for your life. Success and stability don't happen by accident. They require intentional planning, using tools like vision books, community outreach, faith based support, and financial guidance to create a roadmap tailored to your unique journey. Ashley Sims embodies this principle through her leadership of Build in Tulsa, a network designed specifically for Black entrepreneurs. This initiative has empowered hundreds through training and coaching while addressing generational wealth gaps. The challenges were formidable: persistent underfunding for Black founders and a profound lack of representation and infrastructure in the aftermath of the historic devastation of Black Wall Street. But rather than accepting these barriers as permanent, Ashley created a blueprint for transformation. Her solution: dedicated entrepreneur training programs, over 10,000 hours of coaching and supportive networking opportunities, and more than $10.5 million invested into underrepresented founders since launch. The network grew rapidly to include over 400 entrepreneurs. Millions were raised and invested into overlooked businesses, fostering economic independence and community resilience. Ashley's own experience breaking down barriers fueled her passion for creating sustainable pathways so future generations could thrive without reliving past traumas and losses. Her work has been featured nationally in Forbes, Essence, and Fortune. She's been recognized as an Aspen Institute Fellow and serves on boards supporting food security and community wellness initiatives across the Tulsa region. What makes Ashley's work so powerful is how she's reframed Black Wall Street, not just as history, but as an ongoing blueprint, proving how intentional planning paired with collective action can transform individual and family trajectories. This is what J Lynette means by creating a personalized blueprint, not just dreaming about change, but methodically designing the structures that make it possible. But here's where J Lynette's wisdom takes an even more profound turn. Her third principle reminds us that true empowerment isn't just about personal growth, it's reflected in how we lift others through service. The Missoula Storytelling Collective offers a powerful example of this principle in action. This community based initiative supports individuals processing trauma by fostering grounding practices within a loving community environment. They faced significant challenges, high levels of unprocessed trauma affecting well being at both individual and family levels. Their solution wasn't to prescribe individual therapy alone, though that has its place. Instead, they facilitated group storytelling sessions focused on embodiment techniques, helping people recognize physical and emotional responses to trauma while building mutual aid and support networks. Participants report increased emotional stability and resilience after engaging regularly with these practices. The initiative arose from local leaders recognizing their own need and their neighbors' need for spaces where vulnerability could be safely expressed without stigma. They've built an inclusive space where diverse stories are honored and developed methods now used widely across regional organizations helping people heal after loss and crisis events. Their impact extends beyond individual healing. They've helped normalize conversations about grief and healing, serving as a model replicated elsewhere, showing that community insurance against hardship is possible when people unite intentionally. This collective demonstrates what Jay Lynette emphasizes: giving back transforms not just individual lives, but entire communities. Whether by sharing resources or fostering mental health resilience among those facing grief, service becomes a powerful vehicle for collective healing. Now, I want to pause here and acknowledge something important. These principles: choosing our response to adversity, creating intentional blueprints for our lives, and lifting others through service, might sound simple in theory, but implementing them in the crucible of real life, that's where the real work happens. When Jay Lynette speaks about the power of choice, she's not suggesting we can simply choose not to feel pain. Rather, she's reminding us that even in our darkest moments, small choices remain available to us. Choices that, accumulated over time, can lead us back toward light. Maybe today that choice is simply getting out of bed. Tomorrow, it might be reaching out to one person who makes you feel safe. Next week, it might be opening that vision book and writing down one small goal. The vision book that J Lynette advocates isn't just a pretty journal filled with inspirational quotes. It's a living document, a concrete tool for translating abstract hopes into actionable steps. It combines visual elements that speak to our emotional brain with practical planning that engages our rational mind. Your vision book, J Lynette explains, should contain both dreams and deadlines, inspiration and implementation. It should reflect not just where you want to go, but who you want to become in the process of getting there. This approach to intentional planning recognizes that true transformation happens at the intersection of aspiration and action. We need both the North Star of our vision and the daily compass of our habits. And when it comes to service, Jay Lynette offers a perspective that turns conventional wisdom on its head. Many of us believe we must be fully healed before we can help others. But what if the act of helping others is itself a pathway to healing? Research consistently shows that acts of service activate reward pathways in our brains, reduce stress hormones, and increase our sense of meaning and purpose. By giving back, even in small ways, we often receive far more than we give. This doesn't mean we should ignore our own needs or boundaries. It means recognizing that humans are hardwired for connection and contribution. When we serve others from a place of authenticity rather than obligation, we tap into a powerful source of resilience. I stand before you today not just as someone who interviewed Jay Lynette, but as someone forever changed by her wisdom. Her principles aren't abstract theories, they're lifelines in a world that often feels designed to break us. We live in an age of unprecedented disconnection where the architecture of our communities, our economies, and even our digital spaces often undermines our resilience rather than supporting it. But what if we could change that? What if we could become the architects of our own resilience and, by extension, the architects of more resilient communities? I challenge you today. Choose one area of your life where you felt powerless and reclaim your agency through a single deliberate choice. Create one page of your life blueprint, not the entire book, just one page, and find one person you can lift through genuine service. These aren't just nice ideas, they're revolutionary acts in a world that profits from our passivity, our confusion, and our isolation. The architecture of resilience isn't just about personal survival, it's about collective transformation. It's about building structures that support not just our individual healing, but our shared humanity. It's about recognizing that the blueprint for your life is connected to the blueprint for our world. As Jay Lynette so powerfully reminds us, we are not just surviving our stories, we are actively authoring them. And in authoring our own stories with intention, with community, and with service, we participate in authoring a new story for our world. The tools are in your hands, the blueprint awaits your design. The community needs your unique contribution. What will you build?